Wonderful. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Um, just to kickstart a few things, and then I'll turn it over to Mark for some introductions as well. We're excited to share with this group a little bit about the undergraduate academic advising model, and also some opportunities for faculty to get involved with undergraduate student mentorship. This presentation really is geared towards our faculty. We know that sometimes faculty don't realize or understand how their students are advised, and there's a lot of different models and modalities by which that occurs. And we just know how incredibly important it is that our faculty have opportunities to interact with their students. So thank you so much for being here. And Mark, I'll let you go ahead and do some introductions as well.
Sure. Thank you, Claire, and thank you, Gloria. I'm Mark Cooper. I'm chair of the Faculty Senate. I'm a faculty member in Film and Media Studies, really, although English is my tenure home. I became a kind of evangelist for the approach Claire is going to describe to you at Florida State University. I moved here from there more than a dozen years ago, and before I moved, Florida State had implemented something like the advising approach we have now. It made a tremendous difference in quality of advising in my department and in the quality of my interactions with students. And the key really was separating the sort of nuts and bolts registration advising and student services support types advising from mentorship, helping students understand educational pathways that were meaningful to them and that might lead to post-graduation activities that were meaningful for them. So I'm excited to talk with Claire a little bit about how that division of labor can work effectively, and look forward to your questions as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark, and a sincere thank you for working this into your schedule. You are a man in demand on campus, and so just appreciate your being with us today and sharing your perspective. So, okay, well, we'll go ahead and move forward. Hopefully I can advance the slide. There we go. So yeah, as you just heard from Mark, he has kind of lived this, has seen it work, is an advocate for making sure that faculty and full-time professional advisors are working well together to help promote student success. So we're going to do a little overview of the academic advising model and how undergraduate students are advised. A quick note that this presentation really is about undergraduate students, and it kind of pulled together the top 10 things to know to understand how this works every single semester. Then the second half of the presentation is geared towards faculty and ways that faculty can do mentorship opportunities with their students. There's a bunch of ways for faculty to get involved in mentorship, and so certainly want to promote those. And we do have a smaller group today, so hoping that towards the end we can have some just open discussion and questions and answers, and just think about what works for your particular area. So with that, I'll go ahead and get started with the undergraduate academic advising. So again, my name is Claire Robinson. I serve as the director of the University Advising Center and the assistant dean for undergraduate advising. The University Advising Center is just about 5 years old, and it really stemmed from an increased focus on how academic advising works on our campus. So what you have in front of you here is what is deemed by NACADA, or the National Academic Advising Association, which is a worldwide organization with over 14,000 members, that advising on our campus is really defined as a shared split model. And what does that mean? Well, you see all of our colleges and schools outlined here. We have 11 of them, and they're all working with and thinking about academic advising kind of in their own way. We know that about 60% of the advising completed is done by staff. These are people who their full-time job is academic advising, or a portion of their job is academic advising. And then about 40% of our students are advised by faculty, and that is mostly concentrated in the College of Arts and Sciences and the College of Engineering and Computing. So this idea of a shared split model is that it's occurring in the colleges, it's occurring in the advising center, it's occurring in support offices. And so there's a lot of advising happening in a lot of different places, and it's really important that we make sure that students are getting accurate information and consistent information, so that one student isn't getting kind of multiple pieces of advice that could be in conflict with each other, but really complementary advice to help make sure these students are on their path to graduation. Let's see. Okay. So one of the things that the University Advising Center strives for is standardization. So this is not centralization. This is not pulling together every academic advisor on campus and really centralizing everything. Rather, it is putting out standards of excellence. What do we want to make sure that every student gets from their experience with their academic advisor? And so prior to 2015, when the University Advising Center opened, there really were no campus-wide standards. Some colleges did group advising. Some colleges did 5-minute drop-in advising. There were different expectations across campus. And so perhaps not surprisingly, students would have a roommate and their experience would be completely different than their roommate's experience. And so this to, some challenges. And so the idea of the Advising Center is we work towards a standardization of decentralized advising based on national best practice. And so what do we mean by that? Things like standardized training, standardized assessment, standardized caseloads, so that all of our students have some sort of continuity between what advising really means on our campus. So as you look at kind of the evolution of academic advising, it has really come to the forefront of a lot of colleges and schools across the country. Nationally, we've seen about a 36% increase in institutions investing in more professional academic advising, meaning they're hiring more and more people dedicated to this as their profession. But if you look at it historically, kind of the traditional approach to academic advising has been course planning and major guidance. So selecting those courses, registering from semester to semester, and really that's it. But what we're finding is that there's been some growing trends, and advising is starting to take on many, many more responsibilities, such as early alert. This past spring, we had an initiative by which faculty who had students in their class who were disengaged. They weren't, we left for spring break, we never came back. These are students that did not log into Blackboard, were not participating in their courses, and really not sure exactly why. Could it have been a technology issue? Was it that the student didn't understand the expectations? Was the pivot just too difficult? And so one of the early alert initiatives that we had was connecting faculty with the advisor of record of those students. And the advisor would reach out, check in, see what was happening with the student, if they needed any extra support, and encourage the student to participate back in the class. And so that's one example. There are many, many others of the ideas that advisors are being proactive with students in their caseload. Things like co-curricular engagement. I think I saw Amber Faluca, Dr. Amber Faluca joined today. This is all about our quality enhancement plan, getting advisors to talk to their students about the many beyond the classroom opportunities they have available to them, and having those students get engaged. Certainly our first year group, there are a whole slew of transition challenges that first year students often encounter. And so having a dedicated group of advisors who focus on the first year and helping them get oriented to campus. And then transfers. We know we're not retaining our transfer students to the degree that we would like to, and we also know that they're often graduating with 138 credit hours or more. And transfer students often need one-on-one individualized advising support so they can understand the time it takes for them to graduate, making informed selection on their major choice, and all of this can occur in advising in a really well-structured model. And then finally, the most recent emerging trends that we start to see are just things like holistic advising. Of course, lots of financial questions. Even some institutions have integrated career with their advising, coaching, and use of predictive analytics. And what we find with these emerging trends is that the benefit of this is that you don't have these segmented offices that are doing kind of niche programs, but rather you're training your advisors to do more holistic conversations. And that avoids the student being ping-ponged from office to office. And also, there's often this idea of boutique programming, which is, again, these kind of small specializations that can be expensive. And so by cross-training advisors and keeping their caseloads low, around 300 to 1, we start to see a more robust advising model, and students are getting what they need, or a good chunk of what they need, from their assigned academic advisor. So all of this to say that we're seeing institutions invest in this. University of South Carolina is one of those institutions. Again, many advisors historically have viewed their role as registration, and now see how the evolution is occurring. Registration is only one small piece of what advisors are doing, and really student success is at the heart of their position, at the core of what their mission is. So trying to pull together maybe the top 10 things to know about undergraduate advising. And so, these are a lot to know about undergraduate advising, but if you're a faculty member and maybe you're not living in this world every day, what are those big picture items to know? And so here are a couple of things. One is just to understand that advising is required of every undergraduate student every single semester. It really is the only touch point that students have with a representative of the university every single semester. And so therefore, these advisors are very well positioned to promote certain institutional initiatives. Currently, we have around 95%, this percentage actually might be a little bit higher, might be around 98%, of students that have an assigned academic advisor. So this means when they log into Self-Service Carolina and they see the field of academic advisor, about 95 to 98% of them will have a name there. To give you a little perspective, in 2015, about 30% of undergraduate students had an assigned academic advisor. So we've really seen a lot of infrastructure grow around that. The advisors who are in the University Advising Center are in regular contact with their advisees. What does this mean? They're sending welcome emails. They're doing that intervention and outreach. They're constantly reminding their advisees of important deadlines that are coming up. And very often there's multiple meetings. It's not just one 30-minute meeting, but they have the opportunity to have multiple meetings if their advisees need it. So that is the benefit of having a 300 caseload or less, is that you're able to offer more quality advising rather than maybe before where we had large quantities of 600 to 1. Again, every college manages advising a little bit differently, but we do have those standards in place across the university. And again, mention that there are 2 colleges that do faculty advising in the upper class years. Students change their major often, and this is a graphic that kind of illustrates that. This is from the University of California, Davis. Unfortunately, we do not have the same data yet at the University of South Carolina, Columbia, but we're working on it. But basically what this shows, if you look at the far left-hand corner, these are students that, for example, started their freshman year in biology. And look to the right, you can see the students who stayed in biology and graduated from that major, but then all the other paths that students have taken. So some students were dismissed, some moved to engineering, some move to the social sciences. So these major migration patterns are really something that can extend time to degree. And so it's a matter of making sure they get good advice and they make informed decisions, because when at all possible, we want them to graduate in 4 years. And every time you change their major, a student changes their major, it could take added time. So we have our dedicated exploratory advising office to help those students make those informed choices. Curriculum can be complicated, and so students are encouraged to contact their advisors with questions, and just knowing how, prerequisites work and program of study and so on and so forth. So that's why we have dedicated professionals to do this work. Fun fact, there are 2 different types of undeclared. The new students, our freshman students, are housed in the College of Arts and Sciences undeclared program. We have 2 dedicated advisors to that group of students. And then we also have an undeclared program that is for upper class students, which is called our undergraduate study. So this is mostly when students are dismissed from a program, then they go into an undeclared program within undergraduate studies. Most of those are in our School of Business, or even nursing, or engineering and computing. So those are undeclared. Students can and should prepare for advising. This is not a one-way street where the student shows up blind and expects their advisor to tell them everything, but there are many resources available to them. And as you see, number 9 there, we have a ton of resources available on our website for students, faculty, and advisors to make sure that we're making the most of advisement. And then finally, we just really encourage faculty to get to know the academic advisor or advisors in your department. The more that we are working together, the better off our students are going to be. So those are kind of the top 10 things to know about our academic advising model. I'll leave you with this quote that, lots of research out there, the NESI being one of them, that the quality of advising is a really powerful predictor of satisfaction. And so we just want to make sure that our students are getting the most that they can out of advising. So that, I believe, is the first chunk of the presentation, to give an overview of how advising works. Now we're going to transition into some faculty opportunities for mentorship programs. But before I do that, Mark, do you want to jump in here at all?
You did. I do not. I'm eager to hear what the folks who are joining us have to add and ask about. Actually, just one thing. Could you go back to slide number 8? Perfect. Right. So this array of options, particularly as you move from the blue to the green, is just a great illustration of why, although it's a great idea to have professional academic advisors as well as faculty advisors, in my view, that there needs to be conversation and transaction between those 2 groups. If you think about something like co-curricular engagement, that's something where you'd ideally want a faculty mentor to be talking with a student about the types of co-curricular engagements that might really enhance their program of study and their plans for the future. But then you might expect a professional advisor to have a much broader sense than that faculty member of the specific co-curricular engagements that might be available to that student on campus or in a surrounding community or nationally, just because they might have a lot more occasion to keep track of possible programs than the individual faculty member would. So I think this slide's really great to think with in terms of trying to imagine how professional advising and faculty mentorship would and really need to work together for student success. So thanks for that slide, Claire.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more, Mark. Okay. So just to really dovetail off of Mark's comments just now, it really is the best of both worlds if we can pair faculty mentorship with professional academic advising. And if students, in an ideal world, if every undergraduate student on our campus had both, We think that that would just be an ideal experience for our undergraduates. And so, here you've got a quote from the director of EAB. He says, faculty have tremendous potential for helping elevate student success rates. As instructors, faculty members have more face-to-face contact with students than almost anyone else on campus, and this puts them in the ideal position to sense student troubles earlier than anyone else. And again, that's just one angle, and there are 100 more. So what is the university doing to promote mentorship opportunities for faculty? Well, one thing is we have a dedicated website where we are highlighting current initiatives that are underway and things that are coming soon, opportunities that maybe are in development. And so you can get to this website by just going to the advising page and clicking right here where it says Faculty Student Mentorship. And we've got a page for faculty and a page for students. And so couple of examples on current initiatives for how faculty are working with mentors or mentoring students. One is a great way to get started is what we call kind of these Meet My Major events. These are really ways for a faculty member to present or highlight their research, their career path, their hobbies, what they enjoy doing. And the faculty will kind of have an opportunity to present that information, and then we break students up into small groups to have some informal Q&A. Historically, when we did these in person, the advising center, we provided some catering so that we could have lunch together or cookies and lemonade. We are going to move all of these online, and we will continue to have Meet My Major events. They're just going to occur in a virtual environment. So for departments who are looking for a way to kickstart their mentorship, this is, I really think, a great way to do that. And then there's a whole slew of other ways to do it. Of course, you can have mentees. You can have assigned student mentees to you, and have them come maybe visit during office hours, or do these informal coffee chats. Undergraduate research, of course, is probably one of the most robust and formal ways we see mentorship occurring. And so we have a whole dedicated office to pairing students with faculty to do undergraduate research. The Center for Experiential and Integrative Learning, I hope I got that name right, formerly UofSC Connect, they have faculty fellows who are invested in working with undergraduate students. Of course, our living and learning communities, we have a number of faculty who participate in those, draw mentorship, group mentorship, and just, again, having kind of informal coffee chats. So depending on faculty's level of interest and how much commitment you want to make in this regard, you can do something so formal as to the undergraduate research, or something so simple as just checking in virtually. But the whole idea is to encourage communication between undergraduate students and the faculty in their discipline. And what we find with a number of these is that these are the opportunities that faculty really want, that they're not necessarily looking for the advising, nitty-gritty of the nuances of the Carolina Core and the difference between grade forgiveness and academic forgiveness, but rather an environment like this one where you're able to have more robust conversations about the discipline. So this is just a couple of pictures from our fall events, and so you can see how we had some presentations, but then we were able to break them up into these good conversations. So hopefully someday we'll be able to get to this, but for right now we'll move these online. You could just see the smiles and the interaction, and from a student standpoint, it's wow, my faculty member's human and they have all these neat hobbies, or they're just experts at their discipline, and that's really one of the amazing things about the University of South Carolina, is just how faculty at the top of their game. And so the fact that they get to affiliate with these experts in the field is just so exciting. So just another couple of pictures here. I think that one might be from psychology. So if if you're interested in doing this for your department, the Advising Center, we are here to help. We are here to kind of do some of those behind the scenes heavy lifting kinds of things so that you're not worrying about technology, or you don't have to worry about marketing or kind of registration management. We'll take care of all those logistics for you and for your department. What we really need from you are the faculty who have an interest in this. And we know that some faculty really enjoy doing mentorship. And so if you can help us invite those folks to participate and to take on some mentees or to do a Meet My Major event, that we really welcome that. We'll take care of, setting up the technology and the promotion and such. We'll even provide a sample template for you, as far as an agenda. So we are here to help make sure the event goes off without a hitch. We just want to open this up to as many departments and faculty as possible. So this is just a snapshot of some of the events. This is not all of them, but some of the events that happened a year ago. So last fall, we had an event in social work, psychology, English, chem, biochem, sociology. And you see up at the top some of the marketing that we've done. This one for chemistry, which was a huge success. We had really geared towards freshmen and sophomores in those majors. Not that it wasn't open to all students, but making sure that the freshmen that have a professional staff advisor, those are the students that may not have one-on-one interaction with faculty. And so trying to really promote this to those students. But again, it can be open to any and all in the major. So if you have an interest in hosting one of these events, again, you just go to this website, you can click on this Meet My Major event interest form, and once you fill this out, our UAC associate, her name is Jillian Bigany, I believe she's also on the call today. Jillian will contact you about next steps and go ahead and get it scheduled for the calendar. And then we'll also work with the undergraduate advisor who is assigned to your department. So it's a really simple way to get started, and happy to work with you. So